Good morning and welcome to Shape Security here in Mountain View, California. My name is Derek Smith, I'm the CEO, and I'm joined by our special guest today, Mike Hughes from Starbucks. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Derek.
So, Mike, we've come together today to talk about our journey together in fighting credential stuffing, account takeover, and associated fraud. So, we'd like to jump right in and talk about how big is this problem? I mean, how across all retailers and Starbucks, how would you quantify this?
I think it's really interesting when you look across the industry and you look holistically at the size and scope of the problem. You're seeing upwards of 90% now of all login activity being non-human bot traffic that's coming at websites and web properties. And I don't think people have quite realized that scope and scale that's taking place.
It's really an astounding statistic, 90% of all inbound traffic. So it has implications for the load on your system as well as attempts at fraud.
Absolutely.
So you guys were really early in thinking about ATO. When did you first come to recognize this as a potential threat against your customers?
So we started looking at the problem around 2013, early 2014. We really started to put eyes on the issue and look at it holistically as a problem for the industry and also something that as a member of the industry we would be facing and dealing with. That was kind of our first foray into looking at the space.
So early 14, and then we met during the course of the year in 14, and then around the holiday season, you guys came to us and said, go, install as fast as you can, and that took, what, about a week?
Yeah, so we had, we obviously, Starbucks is the number one, when you don't know what to give somebody for Christmas, you give them a Starbucks gift card, right? We jokingly say that, but it happens. And as part of the recognizing that the problem was starting to become industry-wide, we wanted to make sure that we had appropriate protections for customers and for the holiday.
So how did that turn out, that first foray into going after the problem? What kind of results did you see?
So based on what we had seen in 2013 and 2014, we really understood the size and scale of the problem. We'd been using some legacy technologies like WAFs and other things to deal with the issue. And what we saw was when we put the Shape product in line, we saw similar efficacy and data models and the ability to now block and deal with the traffic in real time.
So you had modeled up what the pain was beforehand and then compared that with the results that we were seeing.
Absolutely.
So tell me about the other approaches that you considered and why the Shape approach was differentiated for you guys.
So obviously prior to our relationship
Right.
and us meeting,
Right.
this was a new industry, a new solution that was coming forward. We had done a lot of the traditional technologies. We had played around with WAFs, we had played around with hot IP lists, we had done whack-a-mole, rate limiting and throttling. And what was interesting and unique about the approach when we spoke was this notion that you were looking at signal telemetry beyond just throttles and rate limits, looking at headless browsers, Phantom.js, things of that nature that really were kind of a next generational approach to looking at the problem versus the legacy way that things like WAFs and other products do.
So have you seen these legacy products, WAFs, the CDN bolt-on products, be effective at all against these class of attacks?
I think you see small efficacy, right? So you see point wins. You know, it was interesting in our journey in 2013 and 2014. We would see moments of efficacy where we would put these blocks or these throttle rates in, and at first they'd last for 8 or 10 hours, and then the retooling would come much quicker and come much quicker. And what we found is it became kind of this game of whack-a-mole. You were chasing people through the platform, and because you were using very basic signal and telemetry, you weren't able to contain the problem for very long.
So as you contrast that with the results that Shape was able to provide, what stood out to you? What was the relative effectiveness?
So from our perspective, obviously, you know, we were able to deal with that 90% or so that other platforms and other retailers are seeing, as well as banks, airlines. I mean, this problem exists across all industries, across all loyalty programs. What we got from that was efficacy and block that had lasting effect, where the problem wasn't mitigated for 5 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, that we were able to work and partner together to put blocks in place that had lasting long-term effect.
So, Mike, as the solution has been in place and we've begun to protect many of your peers, retailers, banks, airlines, we've come to you with additional capabilities like being able to analyze login credentials at the moment of login with our Blackfish capability. Can you describe a little bit about how you use that data to protect your customers?
Sure. So, what's really interesting about ATO is the attack is really an attack on the customer's ability to store and remember passwords. They're not attacking the platform at a security level. They're attacking the ability to make a hardened password and not repeat it, not reuse of that. When you introduce a product like Blackfish, what you're doing is giving us the ability to remediate customer issues before the customer experiences them. So you're talking about if we can recognize that the credential that they used at their financial institution is the same credential that they've used from us, we can go in and reset that before the customer gets to the store, before they have a realized problem, and it's a proactive approach to security and taking care of the customer.
Got it. So, so far the results have achieved initial efficacy, but has the result stayed efficacious over time?
Yeah, so obviously, these are not kids in mom's basement coming and attacking us, right?
Right.
This is organized crime, and these are serious individuals. So they are persistent, and they continue to try to find ways to get through. And over the course of the now three and a half years that we've been partnering on this problem together, what we've seen is blocks that are consistent and effective that stay in place.